time for another story together. This week we're going to be reading This Moose Belongs to Me. Wilfred owned a moose. He hadn't always owned a moose. The moose came to him a while ago and he knew that it was meant to be his friend. He thought he would call him Marcel. Do you have any pets? What are they called? He began to follow Marcel, explaining the rules of how to be a good pet. Much of the time, it seemed as though the moose wasn't listening, but Wilfred knew he was, mostly because he followed rule number 4 very well, not making too much noise while Wilfred plays his record collection. Sometimes the moose wasn't a very good pet. He generally ignored rule number 7, going whichever way Wilfred wants to go. The moose had a very good sense of direction, and Wilfred did not. And because the moose was particularly poor on rule number 7, section B, maintaining a certain proximity to home, Wilfred quickly learned to bring some string along their outings so he could find his way back again. Do you have any rules for your pets? I wonder if you could write them down in a list with rule number 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Sometimes the moose was an excellent pet. He had no trouble with rule number 11. 11 rules? Wowee. Providing shelter from the rain. Oh yes, he does look like a good place to shelter. Or rule number 16, knocking down things that are out of Wilfred's reach. Oh look, Wilfred's saying something. Wilfred's saying, good work. One day, as Wilfred discussed their plans for the coming year on a particularly long walk, he made a terrible discovery. Oh, I wonder what he's discovered. What could it be? Someone else thought they owned the moose. Rodrigo, you're back! Wilfred was dumbstruck. The moose was Marcel, not Rodrigo. The old lady was mistaken, and Wilfred thought it only proper that he correct her. He said, in his speech bubble, "This moose belongs to me," he explained. And to prove it, he called Marcel heel. But the moose did not respond. He seemed more interested in the old lady. "Good, Rodrigo," she said. Oh dear, poor Wilfred. "Fine," he said. Embarrassed and enraged, Wilfred rushed off home. But in his haste, and miles from anywhere, he tripped over his string and got all tangled up. It's getting dark. And there he lay. Wilfred was beginning to get a little bit worried. It was past his home time now, and the monsters would be out soon. Can you spot Wilfred? He had just ruled out the last of his options. Up here are all of his options. Can't use a penguin, a saw, swordfish, hammer, thunder, lightning, a bear. Wonder what that's saying. No problem, thanks, if the swordfish was helping him. when along came the moose. Marcel! How do we know that this moose is Marcel? Can you spot anything that shows us that it's Marcel? That's right. He's still wearing his name tag. And, let's read. When along came the moose and performed rule number 73 brilliantly, rescuing your owner from perilous situations. Oh, good old Marcel. That's a nice page. All was forgiven, and perhaps, Wilfred admitted, he never really owned the moose anyway. You can see his name tag here. It's ripped up. I think moose should be wild animals, shouldn't they? Instead of pets. With that in mind, he and the moose reached a compromise. The moose would agree to all of Wilfred's rules, ... whenever it suited him. So not all the time, just when he fancied it. Not sure Wilfred's very happy about that. That's the end. I wonder who you can spot on this page. Who do we think that is? The speech bubble says, Dominic, you're back, and you brought me an apple. Dominic? Is this moose Dominic, Marcel, or Rodrigo? And who's this? Someone new? Oh, what a lovely story. You know, one of my favourite things about this story is the artwork in it, all the illustrations, they're so beautiful. Looking at this illustration here, illustrations are pictures in books. It really makes me want to go and run among these beautiful red and pink and white flowers and breathe the fresh mountain air on this page. Well, what a lovely story that was. I hope you all have a really, really lovely summer holidays, and I'll see you again soon in September. Bye, everyone.